I think there's something malicious going on with Marvel Rivals, and I think it has to do with how it's been developed. Hear me out. If you've played Marvel Rivals at all, you know it's an addicting game. It's got your favorite Marvel comic book heroes, it's got your flashy spells and effects, and it's just a crazy game. If you spend any time on social media, you'll notice that there's some type of reels that will talk about how after players get done playing the game, they'll still hear the sounds of the ultimates going off. They'll still hear the headshots. They'll still hear the enemy, Bucky saying again and again and again as it's some sort of joke. I'm starting to think that it might be malicious. Video games are psychological, right? A lot of what's going on in a video game, it sparks our imagination, right? It touches the dopamine centers of our brain. It gives us pleasure to play these games. It's satisfying when you get 3 headshots in a row or you wipe the whole enemy team with an ultimate, right? So by nature, there's this psychological aspect to video games. So now what I think is going on with Marvel Rivals is that the developers have designed their game to take advantage of those psychological impulses within our brain. And I have a couple reasons why I think it's malicious. Let me get into it. So they built Marvel Rivals to have this psychological loop with MMR, right? So this hidden skill-based rating with the game. Now, I think they're intentionally including frustration in the game. You know, I've played a lot of Marvel Rivals, about 60 to 70 hours. I know it's not as much as everybody else, but I think they've intentionally built this system to introduce frustration and sort of this edge of like, oh, you're almost right there. If you just play one more match, you'll get that win, or you'll get that rating, or you'll get, the proficiency of your hero. And I think, I don't think I'm alone in this, but there's this kind of rigged feeling that is starting to pop up as I'm playing these games. Not just in competitive, but also in quick play too. It's just either completely lopsided in the game where my team steamrolls the game, or the other team steamrolls me. And it's never like a equally competitive feeling game. And I think what this goes down to is a designed rubber banding technique that the NetEase, the developers, put into their game. And I personally feel that this system has been designed to give the majority of players a 50% win rate across the board. No matter your skill, no matter what's kind of going on with the game or how good you are, the majority of players, I think the system has been designed to give them a 50% win rate. You might say, well, what about all these streamers who are top 500 or, Grandmaster or higher? I said, yeah, I would say in response to that, yeah, of course, there's going to be outliers to any sort of data set. Like, you're going to have people who are just like incredible no matter what. They can beat any system, and that's what makes them streamers, and that's what makes them amazing. But for the general dad gamers like myself, or just the people who play an hour or two every night, I think the system has been created to give that sense of satisfaction and addiction, almost like an addiction built into the game to keep you playing. So here's where the psychological thing starts coming in. Players will get an ego, and they'll internalize their rank as a reflection of their skill and personal worth in the game. I do this. The majority of players do this. I feel terrible if I win one game and then go on to lose 5 or 6 in competitive. It's just awful, and it makes me mad, and it makes me angry. And you might just say, "Get good, kid." Well, I will agree with you. I need to get better at the game, but I think there's something else going on. The system is not perfect. This matchmaking rating system wasn't perfect to begin with, and therefore I think they didn't take a lot of the lessons from Season 0, and they just kind of dumped everybody into silver, bronze, silver, and gold, and maybe some in platinum, and then now everybody's stuck in those ranks. But enough about the matchmaking rating. I think it goes deeper than that. I know there are some interesting correlations to win rates and how well you do in the game And I think there's something sinister going on with how the game has been designed to keep you playing. But I think that begs the question of why would they want to keep you playing? Well, Marvel Rivals is a free-to-play game. How is this game going to bring in any sort of income? It's pretty obvious. You thought of the Battle Pass, you thought of the store with all the cool skins, and you thought of the fear of missing out on those skins and how they're limited release, right? Me too. So I think that the game has been designed around the item shop. And this is not like a big shocking reveal. This is pretty obvious to people. But for gamers, they just kind of are used to it at this point. And they're just like, yeah, whatever. That's just how the business model works. But when it starts affecting how the game is designed, that's where I start getting weary of the predatory nature of the design. So yes, games have turned into software as a service. This is well known. You've got World of Warcraft, you've got Fortnite, you've got, any sort of game with any sort of battle pass. That is the model, right? That's how they make their revenue. This is well known across the industry right now. But I think it's ruining games. And this one feels more malicious because it's starting to touch inside of the competitive and the matchmaking rating system in this game. I suspect that there's artificial skill-based progression in this game. And that what I mean by that is rather than letting skill and improvement be natural, the game might create a false sense of progression by matching players against weaker opponents at certain times and giving them a temporary high, so like you just decimate the other team before pulling them back down. I think this is in the game, and I think it's there, and it's becoming more apparent to me as I play this game longer. What this means is that there's like this comeback mechanic, right? That is to prolong the playtime of the game, right? So after extended losing streaks or getting wrecked by the enemy teams over and over, I think the MMR system might subtly adjust to make the matches easier. Now this is not a big, gotcha to the sort of industry, and there's going to be some sort of catch-up mechanic in a rating-based game no matter what, but I think this one is more malicious because it's tied to how the company makes their games, and it's tied to predatory addictive behavior of players. So I'm saying all these things and I'm making all these claims, and I don't have data to back it up other than this is just what I feel. And you might say, well, you just suck at the game. Okay, well, yes, I probably do, and that's fine. But I've played this game, and I've played a lot of other games, and this one just feels a little different. Like, this one just feels a little more malicious. Like, I can go and play, a night where I just smash the opponents, and then the next day I'll go and play, and I'll lose, 80% of my games, and it's just a terrible time. But here I am talking about the game, thinking about the game, wondering why I lost those, 80% of my matches the next day. And now I'm kind of thinking about, well, what can I do to improve myself? What can I do to fix this, right? But that whole thought process is by design. I think that they've designed it to get you to come back to the game, to come back and play more of the game, and then feel good about the game, and then buy more skins because you're on a roll with whatever character that you're popping off with at whatever given time. I'm curious to know if some of you have experienced the same things that I have experienced. I'm talking about playing a competitive game and going into that game knowing that you might be like one win away from your next rank. But when you finish the game after a win, the game only gives you 23 points instead of 26 points, where the 26 points would have put you over to the next rank, and instead the 23 points puts you at like 97 out of 100. Have you ever experienced anything like that? I know I have multiple times. It's kind of suspicious. The game isn't really clear on what gives you points or how you gain more points in your gameplay, what is valued in the game or what isn't valued in the game when it comes to competitive. It's all kind of a blur. I'm starting to suspect some bad actors in terms of how the game has been developed. This brings me to my next, even more conspiratorial point about this game. Now we know NetEase is a Chinese-based developer. Interesting. If you've paid attention to any sort of geopolitical news or events, you might start to think that China has never had, let's say, in the USA's best interests in mind. I suspect there is a strategic nature of how this game is being developed and how it's targeting the US market. So given China's strategic focus on dominating digital entertainment, its goals may not align with American players' interests. Just think about it for a second. China has strict regulations on game monetization and playtime for its own citizens, but the case could be made that this game has been designed to allow for exploitative measures being programmed into the game. Again, the exploitation being upon American players, addictive nature of the game, the hidden MMR system that actively promotes that addiction, and then at the end goal being to completely destroy your wallet by trying to buy skins and battle passes and keep you coming back forever and ever. The discrepancies of this sort of addictive development seems to suggest a deliberate effort to maximize that addiction and to maximize the spending of these US players. This could have a greater impact on gaming culture in America, and it could be setting a precedent that might not be in the best interest of US players. So by shaping these engagement patterns, these matchmaking dynamics, and then adding player frustrations to it, the game may be subtly pushing behaviors that reinforce long-term dependence on this sort of Chinese-developed entertainment. I also would like to present supporting evidence of recent game development in America. We've seen games like Assassin's Creed, Dragon Age, and these amazing franchises just being destroyed by DEI and woke politics. And the games just suck, even if you took out the DEI out of it. The games straight up stink. What was one of the best games of 2024? If you haven't played it, it was Black Myth Wukong. Who developed Black Myth Wukong? Chinese Tencent employees at a company named Game Science. In China, there are strict anti-addiction laws that limit playtime for minors and regulate in-game spending. In the US, there are no restrictions, and NetEase can basically come in and say, I'm going to build the most addicting game and just fleece the wallets of the US players. Why would a company that enforces ethical gaming in its own country allow predatory mechanics elsewhere? The answer is simple. It's profit and control. We can't leave this video without talking about AI as well. You know, Chinese companies are known to use sophisticated AI-driven engagement tools to optimize player retention. Look at DeepSeek. Look at all the things that are going on with AI right now. You'd be a fool not to believe that these companies aren't using AI to better develop their games and retain players. If NetEase employs engagement optimizing matchmaking, speaking about the artificial win-loss streaks, skill plateaus, and then reward timing strategies, it could be leveraging psychological warfare to keep the US players hooked. Now it's getting a little crazy by me suggesting that, NetEase is trying to take over the United States through Marvel Rivals. I'm not really suggesting that, but it could have an impact on the gaming industry, which I'm passionate about. There could be a case to be made that this game could become a digital economy trap. If the game becomes one of the most popular hero-based shooters, which it is well on its way of doing, it could monopolize attention from other competitors and funnel more American spending into these Chinese-owned digital products. Now, I know this is getting super political, but hang in there with me. This could even go one step further. There could be predatory monetization going on in this game as a form of economic extraction. Similar to how mobile games have dominated the gaming industry now, and how the majority of those mobile games are developed by Chinese developers, namely these gacha games where you have to gamble for the high-level S-tier characters, Marvel Rivals microtransactions may be designed to create an addictive cycle that extracts maximum revenue from USA players. And by making Marvel Rivals a dominant FPS, NetEase could secure influence over US gaming habits, shaping players' psychology for their future projects. Okay, I know that was super crazy and almost on the level of Alex Jones by conspiracy theories, but I am concerned for this game. I like the game a lot. It's very addicting. I'm having a great time, but these frustrations are starting to build with this game. And it would not hurt if NetEase came and alleviated some of these, suspicions that the player base is starting to have around how MMR is designed and how it's tracked. But hey, tell me what you think. Have you played Marvel Rivals? Do you think this is going on in this game? Have you experienced these similar things? If so, leave a comment below. I appreciate all of your support. I'm developing this channel into sort of a commentary on games today, how they're developed, how they affect the players, how the games are fun or if they're not fun. So if you want to stick along for that ride, please subscribe, like, comment below what you want to see next. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.